If you're looking to buy a new Herman Miller chair, then it probably makes sense that you're comparing their most popular chair with their least expensive option, and that is going to be the Aeron against the Sayl. What are you giving up by dropping $700 in price, and what are you gaining by going with the Aeron? We're just going to kind of walk through these two chairs here, give you a comparison on what you're gaining with the Aeron or maybe losing with the Sayl or vice versa. So just starting out with the price on the chairs, there's going to be quite a big difference. So we've got the Sayl fully loaded here with the adjustable lumbar, the four-way arms, and the seat depth adjustment. That's going to push the price just over $900 to $905. You can spec it down a bit and get it around $600 or $700 if you don't feel like you need all of those adjustments. The Aeron, you can get it for around $1,000, $1,200 if you don't get all the specs added, but fully loaded like we've got it here is going to be $1,645. So a big price difference, about $700 fully loaded right out of the chute. Looking at the build quality on both of these chairs, I do think that they're both high-end. Obviously, the Aeron is going to be more well-built. It just feels tankier, feels more robust, especially on things like the armrests and just kind of wiggling the chair around. The Sayl's just going to feel a little bit cheaper than the Aeron, which is as expected. And you're also going to have a little bit less of a refined design. That's why we see some more bulky knobs and levers on the Sayl as compared to the super sleek design like we've got on the Aeron. So if you're just looking for something super high-end looking, one of the nicest looking chairs, then you're probably gonna steer towards the Aeron here. When looking at the sizing of the chairs, I do feel that the Aeron is gonna have an edge just because it does have 3 different sizes that you can choose from. The Sayl is gonna have one size, but it's gonna be a little bit more adjustable to accommodate for that. But the problem is that the adjustment that it does have over the Aeron, which is seat depth adjustment, isn't really big enough to make that big of a difference to allow really tall or big people use the chair. So you can see when I've got it fully maxed out, it's about the right size for me, and I'm about 5'9". So if you're on the taller side and you want something that's really gonna fit you, or you're bigger, then you're probably gonna wanna go with the Aeron just because you can get the size C. We've got the size B here, and you can see that it's very comparable to the Sayl when I sit in it in terms of the way that it fits me and how I look in the chair. But if I was much bigger, I wouldn't fit in this as well, and so I'd want to jump up to that size C, and you're not going to have that option with the Sayl. When looking at the adjustment packages on both chairs, when you do get them fully loaded, they're actually going to be very similar in terms of the number of adjustments that you get on the Aeron and the Sayl, even though we have such a big price difference. So we'll start with the seat height. Both chairs have seat height adjustment. I'm not going to demonstrate it on both. I'll just show you on one because it's about the same range on the B chair as compared to the Sayl. So about that 16 to 21 inches gives you good range. One nice advantage that the Sayl has, we've already touched on, is seat depth adjustment. There we go. Just allows you to get it in a good ergonomic position, the front of the seat behind your legs, which you're not going to be able to have on the Aeron, which in my opinion is the biggest miss on the Aeron chair entirely, because the chair just doesn't fit as many people as the Sayl will when we compare one chair, and you're going to have to go with the size A or size C to accommodate that different depth, and a lot of times it doesn't fit. So big win for the Sayl in terms of that adjustment. Flipping over to the arms, the Sayl has 4-way arms, so you're going to get height, depth, width, and then pivot. Now, compared to the Aeron, you do get an extra adjustment because the Aeron is only going to have 3-way adjustment with its height, depth, and then pivot. But in my opinion, due to the ranges being slightly larger on the Aeron arms, I do feel that the lack of an adjustment as compared to the Sayl, you're not really missing out because the adjustments are so large on the Aeron, and because the pivot kind of functions as a width adjustment, I do feel that they're just as adjustable and they're going to accommodate just as many positions as the Sayl. So even though you're getting one more adjustment on the Sayl, I wouldn't necessarily consider that a win just because the Aeron arms are so highly adjustable as well. And then another thing to look at is going to be the lumbar adjustment. You're going to have a lot more options on the Aeron just because you can go no lumbar, well, not a lot more, one more option. You can go no lumbar, height adjustable lumbar, which is just going to be a vertical or a horizontal bar that moves up and down, or you can go with the Posture Fit SL like we have here, which is going to give you a big vertical range, really low, really high, and then you can kind of dial it in a little bit, tighten it or loosen it with this knob. Whereas the Sayl, you can either go no lumbar or just the height adjustment system here. So a much more basic design. And this is probably gonna be the one thing on the Sayl that feels a little bit cheaper and a little bit lower end, especially compared to the Aeron. We don't have any of these cheaper components on the Aeron chair, but it does do its job, and I did feel that it offers quite a bit of support. In terms of what's most comfortable, I do think that the Aeron has a little bit of an edge in terms of lumbar support. It's a little bit more pronounced. You do have a little bit more control over it, and it does cover a little bit larger area of your body. You can see when I do sit in it, just such a massive area it covers as compared to the Sayl, which is gonna be a smaller area, and it's just gonna be a little horizontal patch as compared to the majority of my back being covered. So both of them do provide good support. I would just kind of give the edge to the Aeron. Then the last thing that we're gonna look at in terms of adjustments is just going to be the recline on the chairs. So this is gonna be one huge difference in the chairs, with the Aeron having what they call harmonic tilt, and it's gonna be almost like a knee tilt, synchro tilt hybrid, where it just gives you this really smooth rocking motion. You can see how far down my butt dips when I recline in the chair as compared to more of a synchro tilt design on the Sayl, where the backrest is moving back more so than the seat is tilting. So still a great ergonomic position, but it doesn't really give you the feeling that you want to be reclining and be in constant motion like the Aeron does. And in my opinion, this is probably gonna be the one feature on the Aeron that really makes it stand out as compared to the Sayl when looking at adjustments. But aside from that rocking motion, you're gonna get the same adjustment package. So 3 tilt limiting positions, fully open, halfway, and then fully upright, and then a forward tilt option for those crazies out there that really like to get into tasking. And then the Aeron's gonna be the same way. So fully open, then they're gonna give you a halfway range, and then a fully upright range along with the forward seat tilt. So if you really like to recline a ton in your chair and you really like to have a huge range, because you're gonna have a bigger range to recline in, then I would definitely look towards the Aeron chair over the Sayl. Now I'm just gonna compare the comfort on both chairs just so you get an idea of what is gonna be most comfortable for you, because that's probably what matters most to the majority of people watching this video. And I'm gonna start out with the seat because the seats are gonna be completely different. Now, when looking at the Aeron chair has kind of this bucket seat design almost, where you have these side bolsters and you've got this really hard plastic edge and then the suspended mesh. And overall, the seat on the Aeron is going to be a firm sitting experience. And all mesh seats have this tendency to kind of flex up on you, and they can sometimes cause some pain on your lower thighs or your tailbone, depending on how you sit in the chair. And I'm one of those people that does not love mesh seats. And so that's why I really can't sit in the Aeron as my daily driver, is just because the mesh is firm and it's not super comfortable, and I don't love the fact that I have absolutely no movement in the frame and I have no ability to put my legs outside of kind of the restricted area that they've designated for me to use this seat. So in my opinion, the Aeron seat is probably its biggest inhibitor in being comfortable for most people, and that's probably gonna be the biggest complaint for people that don't like the Aeron chair, is going to be the seat design. The Sayl is not gonna be the same in that regard. You're gonna have a lot more area in the seat to kind of sit however you want, because it's just got a more traditional padded design. So it doesn't have any hard edges, no side bolsters, it's just got good padding, and you can really sit in the chair basically however you want to use the chair. You want to sit in it cross-legged, you can. One leg up, you can. Standard like this, it's completely fine. And so I actually think this Sayl seat is very comfortable for me to use 6, 8 hours or more in a day. And that's not the case for me with the Aeron. So I feel that the seat on the Sayl is probably gonna be more comfortable for more people, but it's gonna be a lot less polarizing than the Aeron. There's gonna be some people that absolutely love the Aeron seat and would definitely prefer it over the Sayl, but the people that hate the Aeron seat probably wouldn't hate the Sayl seat in the same way, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So just a more consistent design, and I think it's probably better for most people. When looking at the arms, I will say that I think that the Aeron it's a big win for the Aeron in my opinion, just because the pads on the Sayl aren't gonna be close to the quality of the pads on the Aeron. The edges aren't as good, they're not gonna be nearly as soft or as padded, and they're not as large. So when you flip over to the Aeron arms, you're gonna get bigger adjustment ranges, and the pad itself is just way more comfortable. You can just see that when I push into the pad, it's much softer, it's larger, you're not gonna get any edges, so you can use the entire pad without being discomforted at all. And you can really just kind of do whatever you want with them because they're so soft. I actually love these pads, probably my favorite pads out of any chair. So big win in my opinion, comfort-wise, would be the pads on the Aeron compared to the Sayl. And the last thing we look at in terms of comfort is going to be that overall backrest comfort. Now we've already touched on the lumbar, and I do think that the Aeron provides better lumbar adjustment options, and I do find it to be more comfortable for the lumbar region in the Aeron as compared to the Sayl. But I will say that I do really like the fact that I can kind of move and do whatever I want in the Sayl as compared to the Aeron, because the Aeron does have a rigid frame, just like the seat, and it prohibits you from moving around in the chair. So I'll just kind of show you what I mean. I like to recline in my chair and just stretch like this throughout the day, maybe every 15, 20 minutes, just get the blood flowing, get loose. And it's really uncomfortable to do that in the Aeron, because as soon as you reach back like this, you can feel the upper edge of the frame, and it's just uncomfortable. It doesn't bend or move with you. It's just a very rigid design. And the Sayl isn't gonna be like that. It's gonna kind of follow that new modern ergonomic, I guess, way of thinking, and that is we're trying to incorporate more movement throughout the day, and one of the ways is to make your chair more flexible so that it can adapt and move to you. And that's why they designed the backrest the way that they did, so I can do things like this and just easily move around in the chair and stretch without being prohibited by the chair, and the chair allows me to move and work how I want. So it's kind of a toss-up in terms of back support, because if you really love lumbar, then I'd probably lean towards the Aeron, but if you really like to move around in your chair and have freedom of movement, then I'd probably lean more towards the Sayl in that regard. If you're looking for more information on office chairs, check out this video.